It is a Tuesday when you arrive at Corcoran State Prison. The bus smells like sweat and poor decisions, and the men on it wear the same hollow expression, eyes forward, jaw set, already learning how not to be seen. You are 22 years old. You are carrying a sentence of 15 to life for a crime the prosecutor called aggravated, your public defender called unfortunate, and you simply call Tuesday. Because where you grew up, Tuesdays looked exactly like this. At processing, they remove the shackles. They hand you a bedroll, a toothbrush, and a number. The number is not a formality. The number is your new name. From this point forward, you are not a person with a history or a family or a future anyone has bothered to plan for. You are a unit to be cataloged, classified, and shelved in the appropriate location. A corrections officer walks you to your assigned cell on Biard. He doesn't look at you. He looks through you, the way you look through a piece of furniture when you're deciding where it belongs. Welcome to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, you will come to understand, is a word someone typed into a mission statement years ago and no one ever thought to revise. Your first day teaches you the only lesson that actually matters inside these walls. Prison is not what the movies made it. It is not chaos. It is not anarchy. It is order. Order so rigid, so precisely maintained, that the military would look at it and call it excessive. Every race has a car. That's the term used for a gang's internal structure, its chain of command, its code of conduct within the walls. The whites run with the whites. The blacks run with the blacks. The southerners with the southerners. The northerners with the northerners. You don't choose your car. Your skin makes that decision before you even step off the bus. Integration is a concept that lives in pamphlets framed on the warden's wall. On the yard, it is 1952 with better sneakers and fluorescent lighting. They find you before you find them. A man named Stomper approaches you during your first yard session, mid-30s, shaved head, tattoos that read like an annotated criminal record. He asks where you're from. You tell him. He nods once, slowly, like the answer passed an exam you didn't know you were taking. Then he lays out the rules. You eat with your people. You exercise with your people. You fight for your people when it comes to that. And it will come to that. If someone from another car disrespects anyone in yours, the response is collective and it is immediate. There is no individual inside these walls. There is only the group. Your identity was confiscated at processing alongside your belt and your shoelaces. Your car is your new operating system, your new last name, your new reason for existing. You keep your head down for the first 6 months. You do what you're told. You work your assigned post in the kitchen, a job that pays 12 cents an hour, which makes it by a comfortable margin the most exploitative employer in the United States, and somehow still not the worst job you've ever held. While you work, you watch. You study the economy the way a business student studies markets. Ramen packets are the base currency. A single soup commands roughly 40 cents on the inside market. Stamps are the higher denomination. Phone time, commissary goods, tobacco, and various substances move through a supply chain so sophisticated it would impress a logistics professor with tenure. Shot callers manage the flow, setting prices, enforcing debts, controlling territory the way a franchise owner oversees locations. The only difference is the franchise fee here is paid in blood rather than capital. You watch Stomper run the car. He's effective in the way a hammer is effective. Blunt, reliable, limited. He manages through fear, which works, until it doesn't. Fear-based leadership has an expiration date. Eventually, someone in the organization becomes more afraid of remaining underneath you than of rising against you. That's when the math inverts. You file this observation away and wait. The opportunity surfaces 8 months in. A gambling dispute between your car and the Northerners begins escalating with the kind of momentum that only ends one way. Stomper's solution is to order a hit in the chow hall, the prison equivalent of starting a fist fight inside a police station. Maximum visibility. Maximum consequence. The hit goes wrong. 3 men are stabbed. The yard locks down for 2 weeks. Stomper collects an additional assault charge and gets shipped to the SHU, the Security Housing Unit, which is solitary confinement dressed up with a bureaucratic acronym. With Stomper gone, there is a vacuum, and vacuums don't last long inside these walls. The senior members of the car look at each other. Then they look at you. not because you're the most dangerous man among them. They look at you because during those 2 weeks of lockdown, when supply lines were severed and tensions were running high, you managed the car's commissary reserves with a precision none of them could have replicated. Choice. She brings 8,000 marks in dowry, replenishing your drained treasury, and a promise that her father will send nobody went without you are ever invaded. You didn't campaign for the position. You will not see her face your way the day of the wedding. Your first ceremony takes place in autumn. Are structural. Isabella arrives with a retinue of 200 Aragonese nobles, violence, servants, generate and guards from the guards, a small army, nothing of value. She is pretty. You install with dark hair and sharp, every enforcement action requires your authorization. She speaks 3 languages. No freelance. She barely looks at you while the bishop. No personal vendettas without clearance. That night, in the privacy of the royal chamber, the air is thick with awkwardness, then pressure, then polite but distant. This is duty. By the time anyone reaches the third tier, the first 2 have been so methodical, so deliberate, husband and wife lovers, that what follows you are 2 nations inevitable rather than an alliance using your bodies. Incident reports on VR drop 40%. 9 months later, you have a son. You don't have access to the bells ring again. But this time, the warden does. Joyous. His name is Corrections Captain Harold. The geometry of the court. 3,500 inmates to protect. That's $283 million annually. The nobles notice the shift. And within that cost structure, the single largest driver of expense ruling hours in the mud. Your cavalry manages to break their shield wall on the third charge, but the cost facility roughly $40,000 of your men lie dead in the field. Your best general is among your corpses. The yard average. You take an arrow in the shoulder that shatters bone and over, it averages 1. The Northmen, realizing the fight is too costly, times $40,000 times 12 months. You have won. You are saving the state of California. You have lost a third of your $1 million every year, but a field of dead subjects. Your compensation is a library job at 31 cents an hour. They blame you for attacking the labor exploitation ratio. They blame you for not attacking 19th century robber barons uncomfortable. Edmund returns to court. In year 5, he doesn't say a word. Garza arrives from Pelican Bay. Everyone is in his mid-40s, limping. A lifer with 22 years in the system behind him. It takes 3 years to rebuild what was lost. But his connections stretch across nearly every facility in the state. 3 years of levying higher taxes on angry peasants. You granted out of professional courtesy. Borrowing. He sits across from you in the yard. Crown lands you will never get back. Without performance, your son is 7 now. He tells you he's been watching your operation, to fight with a wooden sword, not from Corcoran, to read Latin, from inside the system itself. He is learning what it means to be a prince. And then he tells you something that makes the ground shift beneath your feet. You watch him from the balcony, rubbing your aching shoulder. Brant didn't notice you because wonder of the reduced if he will be better at this than you are. Garza says. You hope so. Brant created you. Fear he won't get the chance. He has seen the pattern at 3 other facilities. The plague arrives in your 12 years. The administration identifies a promising inmate from the east, someone carried in the bellies of rats on merchant ships, disinclined toward gratuitous violence. The first cases appear in the port cities. They then remove the sitting shot caller through carefully targeted enforcement actions. Within a month, it is everywhere. Stompers Chow Hall people die so fast there is no time to bury them. The northerner who ignited the gambling dispute had been transferred into the yard from another facility for the sins of the realm before the conflict. The peasants whispered his transfer was approved by Brant's office. Neither is true. The dispute was engineered. Holds no currency. Removal was manufactured. The vacuum of your kingdom dies in 8 months. Your ascent was landscaped. Entire villages stand empty. Extended was the doors swinging in the wind. You operational. Fields go unharvested. Every guard reassignment was him clearing threats to your leadership. The economy collapses before they could develop. There is no one early release he approved for your most cooperative men. Was him quietly removing soldiers. Your wife survived. Too independent. Your son survived. Men who might eventually challenge you. It is more luck than you deserve. Destabilizing his investment. But the kingdom you inherit never negotiating not the kingdom you ruled before. He was servicing you the way survivors know services an engine. The peasants realize their labor is scarce and valuable because the machine saves higher wages, $2.4 million freedom from their lords, and keeps his facilities refuse and face bloody revolt to earn him commendations out of bankruptcy. You are supposed to maintain order, yard, but there is no order left to maintain. Middle manager. You issue run a shadow government that the real government designed, you send soldiers to enforce laws that no one obeys. The old world is not a rebellion beneath your throne. Your son is 16. The system doesn't have a gang problem. You are old. The system has a gang solution. Your shoulder never healed right from the arrow. It throbs when it rains. That night, lying on your bunk, ache, staring at the ceiling the way you have for 5 years. You are only 35 years old. Every memory reassembles itself under new light. The commissary empire you built for what is coming. The truces you negotiated, which nobles can be trusted. You earned, which is none of them. The men who follow your direction, which advisors are competent. All which is few of every piece of it. You teach him the hardest lesson that runs on your labor, that being king is not about millions and produces exactly one outcome. A quiet
Your
prison
weakness,
that makes
everyone else's
look
weakness.
competent and keeps
The
the
weakness of a
bureaucracy
system held
comfortable.
together by tradition,
You are the most powerful
violence,
man in a building.
and a collective
you cannot
agreement
leave.
to pretend
Running an
it all makes
organization
sense.
you did not actually
Edmund
originate.
dies of a
Generating
fever
value you will
in
never
your
capture.
18th year as king.
For a system that will never
You attend
acknowledge
his
your
funeral.
name.
And the
You
part
say
that keeps
kind
you awake
words
until
over
the
his
lights
casket.
come on,
The part
you
that
feel
sits
nothing.
heaviest
His
is
son
that
is
you cannot
12 years
stop.
old and has
If
no
you step
interest
down,
in
the
rebellion.
violence returns.
The
If
threat
the
that
violence
haunted
returns,
you for
your
2
men
decades
suffer.
simply evaporates.
You have built a machine
You should
that
feel
requires
relieved,
you.
and
Instead,
that requirement
you feel
is its
empty.
own kind of sentence.
You have spent so long
The
fighting
warden
to
didn't
survive
just put
that
you in a
never
cell.
thought about what
He
comes
put
after
you in
the
a
fight.
job. A
Your
job
wife
with no
finds you on the
salary,
battlements one
no
evening.
retirement plan,
You were
no
staring out
exit
at the
interview,
fields beyond the castle
and no
walls,
end date written
where the
anywhere you
peasants
can
are
find
bringing
it.
in the harvest.
You came here at 22
Life goes
years
on.
old, thinking
It
the
always
worst
does.
thing they could take
You
from
have been king for
was
22
your freedom,
years.
she says softly.
You were wrong.
Longer than your father. Longer
They
than
took
his
your rebellion
father,
and
you
converted
have done
it
well.
into compliance.
You don't feel like you
and
have
they
done
didn't
well.
even need to ask.
You feel like you have been treading water in a
volunteered.
hurricane for 2
They
decades,
simply arranged
and
the
the only
conditions,
reason you haven't
and you
drowned
did the
is
rest.
luck. One rational decision
takes
at
your
a time.
hand.
It is
Right
the
up
most
until you were
intimate
running
gesture
their
she has
system
made
for
in
them
years,
and calling it yours.
I know, she said.